this song, Louisa explains to the press what her life is like with her famous husband. My husband makes movies. To make them, he lives a kind of dream in which his actions aren't always what they seem. He may be on to some unique romantic theme. Some men catch fish, some men tie flies, some earn their living making bread. My husband, he goes a little crazy, making movies instead. My husband spins fantasies. He lives them, then gives them to you all. While he was working on the film on ancient Rome, he made the slave girls take the gladiators home. Some men buy stocks, some men punch clocks, some leap where others fear to tread. My husband, as author and director, makes up stories in his head. Guido Contini, Louisa Contini, #1 genius and #1 fan. Guido Contini, Louisa Contini, daughter of well-to-do Florentine clan. Long ago, 20 years ago, first the names were Guido Contini, Louisa del Forno, actress with dreams and a life of her own. Passionate, wild, and in love in Livorno, singing with Guido all night on the phone. Long ago, someone else ago, how he needs me so, and he'll be the last to know it. My husband makes movies. To make them, he makes himself obsessed. He works for weeks on end without a bit of rest. No other way can he achieve his level best. Some men read books, some shine their shoes, some retire early when they've seen the evening news. My husband only rarely comes to bed. My husband makes movies instead. My husband makes movies.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. Who or what are you celebrating today? It's May, and that was the incredible Eileen Barnett who's on the show today. And she has a show coming up, as well as all of my guests today. So as I begin each week and each show, I always say, who or what are you celebrating today? And I'm celebrating the incredible Eileen Barnett, who has a show coming up celebrating her birthday. And here she is. It's her birthday, and she'll sing if she wants to.
Right.
And I'm so thrilled that she's here today. Eileen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Who was that Burnett?
I don't know, but she looks better as with the white hair.
I'm loving this. It was in there. It was, but I let it come out.
All of our friends, I know I can speak, who hold off doing this. I think it's the greatest thing when you finally say, let go and let it be.
Yeah, it took me a long time to decide, but it has helped me. As I told you before, it's helped me with my television career. I have been working much more now than I did when I was in my 50s. It's amazing. It's
I
amazing.
love hearing that, as well as I'm sure all of our guests will today. Eileen, I just mentioned that you've got a show coming up celebrating your birthday. You and I have spoken. You've been through a lot the last couple of years. What is it that you're hoping that audiences are going to walk away with? Obviously, there are people in the audience who are very familiar with you on a personal level.
Mhm.
There are people in the audience who know you from your career. And then there'll be people who may be there because a friend brought them along.
Mhm.
What do you hope that the audience comes away with?
Well, a friend of mine once said to me, when you do cabaret, when a performer does cabaret, you should know more about them after the show than you did when you went in. And through my songs and through some of the patter as well, I really do like to reveal my hopes and my dreams and my life, and share the ups and the downs as well. I mean, as you said, I will have a lot of friends who know what's been going on with me for a long time, but a lot of people hopefully will be there that have never seen me. So I just hope that they that I can uplift them a little bit. That's what it's about. I mean, for me, singing songs that I can choose, when it's your act, you get to be the boss, and you choose what you want to sing. And it's just sharing that with other people it's my favorite thing, except for my dogs.
Oh, well, my dog too, and my cats. But I want to talk also about, your incredible musical director, who is my musical director when I'm out, Michael Collum, when I'm out on the West Coast.
Yes.
Just love this man. What is the collaborative process like with the two of you? Do you come in with songs? Does he come in with songs? How does it all come together?
The answer is yes. We both come in with songs, and he suggests things sometimes, and sometimes I do, and then we just kind of, I guess it's like almost anybody. You just kind of work out the arrangement, and then there's some things that we'll just sing over and over again, and there's just no place for it in the act, and we're like, okay, well, you'll pardon the expression, 86 that song.
I'm glad you said this because
that's what it means
right now. And I was a waiter in a restaurant once, and the chef said 86 the lobsters, and a huge party comes in, and the head of the table asked the waiter, "What do you recommend?" And he said, "We just got in 86 lobsters." Well, guess what? The chef almost killed him. He was fired that night.
That's very funny. That's really funny.
But you're absolutely right. You mold and mold and mold.
Mm-hmm.
Is the show exactly where you want it to be right now?
Yes, I think it is. I really think it is, because there's a lot of stuff in it, that's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
And those are things that I've added recently. And so I think it is. I would love to bring it to New York. I hope that that's going to be possible one of these days. And that's kind of what I have in mind when I do it. Yeah.
You make it happen, and I'll help get the audience in there.
Oh, well, thank you.
We'll do that. We'll do it. I'd love to see you bring it here.
Thanks. I really would love to. Yeah.
Well,
Because I'm a New York girl too. I had a Broadway thing going on for a while there. So.
Well, let me ask you this, and then I'm going to bring on Christopher. But you've done theater, you've done television, and now cabaret. What brings you back to cabaret?
Well, I've done cabaret for years and years. I've never really stopped doing it. And like I said, when you do something, when you do a show, a Broadway show, either on Broadway or somewhere else, you have to do that part and sing those songs. And cabaret, it's all you, I mean, it's not just that the spotlight's on you, but that you get to choose what you want to show people about yourself. You know, you get to choose those songs. And I guess your audience will let you know if they were the right ones or the wrong ones. But
right.
you know, you have really no one to answer to but yourself. And of course, my musical director. And I have a marvelous director too, this wonderful woman, Kirsten Chandler, who just has such a good eye and a good heart. And I always run everything by her. So, you know, with the three of us, I think it's where it needs to be.
That's great. Well, where we need to be right now is with Christopher Caswell joining us.
Okay.
I am so happy that he is doing his solo show again. And Chris, I just love you, and I'm so glad you're here. And where are you right now? You are moments, if not already, away from selling out.
Well, yes. First of all, Eileen, beautiful. I really loved your version of that song from Mine. It was gorgeous. And I really resonated with a lot of what you said about how you bring the personalness to your show. One of the last reviews of my show mentioned how it was like sitting in my living room. That was exactly what I wanted. And another person said that they felt they knew me a little bit better. Exactly what you were saying when they leave. So I'm very excited. Yes, I'm down to one ticket. I even had a friend say, well, I was planning to bring a date, so I guess I can't come, you know. So that one ticket's up, and I know the one person who's not coming to the show, and that's Eileen, because we have the show on the same date. But I'm very, very much excited about the show, the material. It's just really rich and beautiful.
And the title of your show is Ordinary Miracles. One of my favorite songs. I'm assuming you're singing that in the show.
Yes, I have learned the lesson. If you curate a show of a lot of songs that maybe people haven't heard, that it's good to name the show after one of the songs people have heard. So yeah, I have 2 standards, 3 Broadway tunes, and a lot of pop covers in the show. But Ordinary Miracles is absolutely the 10 o'clock number, if maybe not the 9:30 p.m. number. Absolutely. I love that song.
Did you decide on the title and then put the show together, or did the rest of the show come together? Or did this song come based on what you were putting together?
I think the title came after I selected the songs. And then the storytelling, which I know the term patter is common, but that's like the sound of mouse feet. You know, I'm actually telling stories, you know, so I refer to the stuff in between as storytelling. So the storytelling really revolves around the songs, and ultimately, you know, I touch on the ordinary miracles in our life, among other things in the show.
It's a wonderful title.
Yes.
Wonderful title.
So I want to talk about your collaboration, the people that you work with. Christopher and I had the great pleasure of being on stage together at Carnegie Hall, which was one of the highlights of my life. But it was your director who brought me into that moment, and that's James Followell. How long have you and James been working together?
Well, we've known each other for over 30 years. When I joined Uptown Express in 1994, that was the pops group that he was directing at the time. And I was the longest running member of 19 years. And that's how long we've known each other, since Uptown Express, when I appeared with the chorus, my first concert. And afterwards he said, well, don't tell anybody I said this, but you're going to join the group just based on your little 16-bar solo on Carnegie Hall. I didn't actually audition. So we've known each other for over 30 years, and he has played all of my shows for everywhere from 88s and Helen's and all the ones I've done at the Laurie Beechman, as well as all the shows Uptown Express. And as for collaborators, I'm also working with Jeff Harner, who is a dear friend of mine, but also a very beautifully creative person. He's brought a lot. He's helped really shape what I've brought. You know, he'll say, oh, that story can go. You know, Eileen, you were talking about songs coming and going. James Followell was the same. He's like, that first song is so great. Why don't we go back to this other one? You know, or there was one in the middle. He's like, that song is too much. I don't think you should. Let's do this one. You know, so he always brings song choices. And similarly, Jeff has a shrewd ear and eye for, impact, for creative impact. So it's great to work with.
How long has it been since you've done a solo show?
I did one 2 years ago at the Laurie Beechman. It was called Listen to My Heart. And you can imagine that I sang that song in the show.
And, why this show now in your life?
I have done, until my 2017 show with the Laurie Beechman, I had averaged a show about every decade. And John Hoglund, when he reviewed my second show, said, I sure hope Chris does more of these more frequently, right? So it's taken me a while, but I've decided to bring more singing into my life. So when I did the show in 2017, I had planned one in 2020, and then of course COVID happened, and so I didn't do that one until 2024. But why now? I just I spent my whole life, sitting at a computer, doing a great job of my job, but I just want to sing more in my life. I want to bring more of that joy, because that's what it is for me. It's joyful.
You said that you and James you've known each other for 30 years. So, and I've been around a long time too, Eileen as well. We've seen a lot of things change. We've seen clubs come and go. We've seen the way that we get an audience come and go. We've seen all of these things constantly changing. What still resonates the most with you when you're putting a show together?
It is, and Eileen, you touched on this before too, but there is something very uniquely profound and special about the connection that I make with the audience. I saw a really great show the other day where the singer was kind of off to the sky most of the time, and I do it differently. I like to see people I'm singing to. I like to make a connection, a lyric between two people. It's just that relationship building through song and stories is just so powerful. The intimacy it brings, the shared laughter, the shared, heart tugs. That is what always brings me back. So when, things do change, clubs open, clubs close, but this is the thing that keeps bringing me back, is that breaking the fourth wall, not breaking, encouraging just a flow between the audience and the music. It's a beautiful thing.
Are there elements of this that are easier because of time and standing? And are there things that have changed that you missed that were in place when you first started?
No, nothing really comes to mind. I will say I have grown as a human being and a performer. So it has taken, all the decades of my life to become comfortable with myself, to the point that I can tell a story and know that I'm being vulnerable, and that will join people back to me. And it's not performative. It's really just a sharing. Mm-hmm. And that is what really gives it the richness. And so I don't sense that anything has changed for me. Every club I've ever performed in has welcomed that kind of environment. I've done very little stage work. I'd like to do more. But Eileen, as you were saying, you sing someone else's songs, you say someone else's lines when you're doing stage work. But in this environment, you just get to create something special and unique between you and the audience.
Well, I want to ask you a question that I also asked Eileen, and that is that our audiences I used to always say that my audiences were made up of, when I was performing as Carol Channing, there were the Carol Channing fans, there were the Richard Skipper fans, and there were the curiosity seekers. What are the three categories of people that show up for you?
In my third show, I made a joke about, hi, I'm Chris Caswell. For anybody who doesn't know me, that would be the one of you in the back row and the waiters, But over time, my exposure to people in the world has grown. It starts with friends, and then it's friends of friends, and then you sort of find that the people that know who you are and know your voice and know your stories come back around. So it starts with friends and family. Very little family. Most of my family doesn't live here, but it just becomes friends and the people they bring. And
family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the 8th is a very important day because it's Eileen's birthday. You're both doing shows. It's also Tony Tennille's birthday. And my dear friend, Camille Diamond, is going to be celebrating her. I'm going to be there on Sunday afternoon. Camille sings Tennille. What a great title. But here's Camille, and then we'll see her on the other side.
It's the 7th, right? We're all on the 7th, not the 8th.
Oh, the 7th.
Yeah, my actual birthday is the 8th.
But I see. You have the show, I have a show, and
yeah, 7th.
Sorry about that, but here's Camille.
Yeah.
I am a Sagittarius. which is known for an especially warm and sunny personality. Thank you. And also for being especially, optimistic. And it's true that whenever things have gotten kind of dark and weird, I have always been able to lean into and count on gratitude, knowing that things can always get worse. I mean, 2020 wasn't just notable for the big things, A lot of little terrible things happened in 2020 that you might not even remember. When you think you've hit the bottom and you're feeling really low, you mustn't be discouraged. There's always one step further down you can go. Poland invaded the Czech Republic. Oops. When you're lying in the gutter, feeling just a bit unsure, just think about tomorrow. You could be lying flat face down in the sewer. Remember, murder hornets. Don't be afraid of a little raindrop. That don't mean nothing but. Just remember, one little raindrop started the Johnstown flood in Pennsylvania. When you're lying on a park bench, eating grass cause you've no dough, your luck may change manana. You could be 6 feet under, helping it grow. So just remember, when you're lower than low, there's always one step further down you can go. Just imagine you are a fabulous young musician in Bolivia, and you finally make the national orchestra tour of your dreams, only to get stranded during COVID in a haunted mansion surrounded by wolves. Dance break.
And here she is, Camille. I mean, first of all, that was your debut show.
Yeah.
Which she won the MAC Award for. I saw the show twice. I loved that show, especially, forgive me for saying this, your daughter coming on and singing with you.
No, she was amazing too. I loved that.
Amazing. But you are about to celebrate one of my favorite artists. I've had the great pleasure of interviewing her a couple of times. And that's Toni Tennille, who has a birthday coming up this week.
Yes.
Why Camille?
Because, well, imagine in the 1970s being named Camille. Like there's nobody. I was it. That was the only Camille, and especially because I grew up in Kansas. I mean, so I felt an immediate kinship with her. When the television show came on, I felt like, oh, her name is just like mine. Really, like I just wanted to watch her and to just absorb her. And then of course, I'm a future theater kid, so there's the Bob Mackie of it all, and the big, and all the show tunes and the big numbers, and I just fell in love with all of it. That's where I had to be on a Monday night, was watching the Captain and Tennille show.
Well, so many people, when they think of Toni Tennille, they don't think of Toni Tennille. They think of Captain and Tennille.
That's right.
And she was truly her own person. Her history with her father and growing up in the musical industry. How do you choose to put into an hour the entire oeuvre of someone's career?
It's like impossible. It's interesting doing a tribute show. Really, as I think I'm really lucky because Toni Tennille wrote such an amazing memoir in 2015. It was very thorough, incredibly well written. So it was easier. I read it a couple of times, and I was able to sort of absorb the main things that made her tick, the things that she felt were the most important to her life and the most important stories that she wanted to tell. I couldn't tell all of them, but then it was like, okay, so what songs do I resonate with the most? First of all, like, what do I really want to sing? And then what of these songs tells her story the best? And in some cases, it was some of her biggest hits. Like, you can't not do Muskrat Love. I'm sorry, you cannot. You have to do it. So Muskrat Love. But there's a great story you can tell from her life with that. Some of the love songs that she wrote really for and about her husband, those were wonderful to be able to tell the story of, of their marriage, about her feelings. And then also, her Great American Songbook career. There was plenty to pull from there. So in some cases I could, blend them a little with some other things. Sometimes they were standalone, but it was a fascinating creative process. And it allowed me to practice discernment and how to really edit, like what's what might be a beautiful song and that I love to sing, but what isn't really in the show, like what isn't the show. You kind of have to begin to see the show as its own thing also, to make sure that it's not a mess. Sorry,
Well,
you know what I mean?
Even though there was this comparison of Camille and Tennille,
Mm-hmm.
what was the light bulb moment for you when you said, hey, this is my next show?
You know, it was funny. I was on my way to rehearsal for my debut show. And you know how Spotify will sometimes drop a little tune in your ear? Can't Stop Dancing. It started to play, and I was, kind of grooving on the subway, and I was like, wow, I love this song. I forgot about this song. And then I started to think about all the Toni Tennille songs that I loved. As a child, I was a dancer, and I used to put her albums on all the time and dance to them. So I had I even remembered the choreography I made up, in my basement while I was doing Can't Stop Dancing. And I thought that was sort of the beginning of it for me. Like, this would be an excellent show, actually. And I don't think anybody's done a tribute show to Toni Tennille that I can think of.
That I'm aware of.
Right. So I thought, the more I thought about it, the more it just really had legs. And then after that, I went to, how Singnasium will do these lovely trips and with El Chiostro, where you can go into a lovely foreign country and not think about anything but tourism, food, and cabaret, because you can also work on you work on what songs you want to work on. It was the summer after I had won the MAC Award, where I was kind of in that space of well, that was great and I loved that, but what would be next? When I brought a lot of Toni Tennille songs and worked on them with Tracy Stark, and sort of had a beginning from that.
Well, there are certain singers, Cher, Judy Garland, Barbra Streisand, Frank Sinatra. These singers are part of the soundtrack of our lives. And we may not remember where we were the first time we heard one of their songs. But I remember exactly where I was the first time I heard Love Will Keep Us Together, Captain and Tennille, and I stopped. And I remember going to the desk and saying, who's singing that song? And he said, oh, it's somebody new, Captain and Tennille. And I fell in love with them then and there.
Yeah, it's a bop.
And getting the opportunity to speak with her, which was a big thrill for me.
I bet.
She is so down to earth and so humble as to who she is and her beginnings, and very accessible, by the way.
Yeah.
What surprised you the most about her for yourself?
When I read her autobiography, I think I was really surprised by, first of all, her love for her family. The way that she, one of the things I love about her sound is those female voices, those harmonies in the back. Those are all her sisters. You thought it was her, but they all sound, they have that beautiful sound when you're in the family, that they blended so beautifully. And I loved that. And just the way that she really brought them into her career and how important everyone was to her, even if the relationship with her father might be, a little strange later on in life, the way that it all came home, the way she always wanted to honor her parents. And I really related to that. My both of my parents are from Tennessee. So there was a Southern, home sort of thing about that I resonated with a lot. And it was surprising to me how much that was all over her autobiography. I think I didn't realize the depth of the, of the marriage, how she's a solid people pleaser, which, boy, I get you. I get that. We have that in common. But, just the way you try so hard to make something work. And until finally you have to kind of hit a wall and say, wow, my joy is also important. The joy that I bring to others is so important, but my own joy is important. I have to take care of myself. I have to set a boundary. And the way that she, her whole journey to get there, I think was really interesting to me and also inspiring to me.
That's great. And I can't wait to see you on Sunday afternoon. I can't wait.
Can't wait to see you.
I've been excited since I heard about this show. Well, also, since we're in the mode of birthdays and celebrating birthdays, my dear friend, Becca Kidwell, is about to turn. Are you ready for this, everyone? She's turning 50. And here she is. I am so excited.
He's
Becca,
a baby.
Hi.
first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Excited about Monday night.
Monday night.
Yeah.
Well, and Monday afternoon at 2:30 exactly.
What was that?
Monday at 2:30 exactly is when I turn 50.
Oh, I was born at 1:30 in the 12:30 after midnight. Yeah. So, Becca, how are you putting the songs together for this show?
So it was all around my midlife crisis, which I wasn't planning. Well, I always enjoyed having, since 30, I've enjoyed the new decades, each one of them. And so I was looking forward to this new decade until 48. And I really wasn't planning on having a midlife crisis, but with everything else that was going on in the world, it was easier to focus on am I doing this right with my life? Am I doing this right with my life? Than to focus on what was going on, what was wrong with the world. So it was easier to micromanage my life than it was to focus on the chaos that was the world. So I was like, am I doing this right with my career? Is this the right way to do things? Because I mean, I only started performing when I was 40. So I was like, I mean, even particularly writing songs, I was like, don't fit into like what I started meeting other songwriters, and I was like, particularly members of the Grammy Academy and stuff, who were like, oh, what genre are you in? And I'm like, I write whatever the song requires to tell the story. And so all my songs on my album are not one genre. And because I'm using a virtual background, you can't see it.
You have to show up to get the CD.
Yeah, so it depends on whatever. It's just like the rest of my cabaret stuff. It's whatever the story requires. That's what genre I do. But then I talked to another cabaret songwriter who was like, that's exactly what she does. And so then, she's like, that's what we do. We're more like musical theater songwriters, where we let the story dictate what we write. And so that's why our songs don't fall into specific genres. For just one genre, we write whatever genre is that. And that's how it fell for for the show. It's just, I was like, it went around the experiences of what hit me most about becoming middle-aged, and what other things that I saw that other women struggled with middle age, and how we just need to love ourselves and just do the best for ourselves, and just embrace who we are. And for me, embracing who I am, and that pretty much was what I came out of. What I came out of this all with was from, again, writing my album and the show, was that I am who I am, like Popeye, and and I don't need to be anything but who I am. And you're going to either like that or you're not. And that's what you're going to see on Monday night, and that's what you're going to hear on my album. I am completely me, and that is a wild ride.
Well, Becca, you just said in the middle of, that you also did not start performing until you were 40.
Yes.
Was this something that you had thought about? And if so, what took you so long?
Well, I mean, I was in chorus growing up, but I was not encouraged growing up to perform. My parents were not encouraging about that at all. They were like, that's not something that that's not something for us to do. So, I mean, chorus was more than enough for it to be allowed to do. So that's why even the fact that I was able to major in drama was only because I had a full scholarship, and I was able to show them that there was a path with me becoming a director in the theater, that was the only way that it was acceptable for me to even major in drama. But even that, they were like, yeah, like, you're really going to end up doing anything with that.
Have they come around?
Oh no, they never believed in that. They were so happy when I became a teacher, and they were like, oh, finally you've become practical. And but I kept encouraging my students to follow their dreams, and fortunately I had a husband and a wonderful set of in-laws who became wonderful supportive family, who were like encouraging me with my dreams. And as I was telling my students to follow their dreams, I was like, and why am I not following my dreams? And I saw older, because also with Gen Xers, we were always told, like, if you didn't hit your dreams like in your 20s, I mean, particularly artistic dreams, then you had no chance. But then I saw people like in their 30s and 40s who were just starting out, and I was like, oh, you can still start out later in life. And I was like, oh, you know, that's possible. And then I was like, I'm only, when I first started thinking about these things, I was like, when I started teaching, I was only 30. So I was like, maybe I'm not too old for these things.
Well, I will say this, Becca, you have really made a mark on the cabaret community in the last 20 years. So what is
10.
it about 10 years, sorry.
Don't need me that much.
No, we're with you there. But what is it about this community that resonates so deeply with you?
Well, I love what makes it so fun for me on the stage is I am a complete introvert off stage, although extroverted introvert, because if you sit with me and talk with me for a while, I'll tell you my whole life story. But I do need to recharge the next day because I've told you my whole life story. But what you'll find out about me also is that I am so comfortable on the stage. It is where I feel most completely me. And what I love about cabaret is that, and the stage is that, what most people don't realize is I am so completely me on the stage. And with cabaret, you can be completely yourself. And what most people don't realize is that is me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even when I was doing my sex and murder show, that was a piece of me. And I can be so freely me, and I feel less judged and more free on stage than I do when I'm just talking to people day to day, face to face, in an intimate setting that I do when I'm talking to dozens of people on stage. And it's where I feel actually the safest and freest to be myself.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for all of that. And like I said, I cannot wait to see you. I will be there celebrating you. May the 4th be with you.
Thank you.
On Monday night at Don't Tell Mama. Well, I want to bring our next guest on, who has been waiting so patiently in the wings. She has a show tomorrow afternoon, or tomorrow night at 7:00. And she is celebrating women composers and lyricists of musical theater. And she's here. Liz, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good. So I know you were having trouble in the wings, but so welcome to the show. Weigh in on anything you've heard and then we'll talk about your own upcoming show.
I just, first of all, it's so great having the R, you know, being the later in the alphabet, just getting to sit back and hear everybody. And, you know, that, and I'm so tall, so I'm always in the back, but this is like a gift in the name. And just to say that, you know, I also resonate. I'm, I guess, in the younger crowd. I'm 46, so I don't find myself young, but, when Eileen and Christopher, you were talking about at the beginning, you know, the idea of like seeing the show about people looking out here and not keeping eye contact. You know, one thing that I find both as an equity performer on stage and doing roles and in cabaret, which cabaret to me is my favorite art form because of the authenticity and the connection to the audience. There is one thing that's in common, and when you're in a small theater doing a role, keeping your eyes up and out and being able to connect even in character is so important, right? But so if you can't do that, you know, even there, like if you can't do that in cabaret, I'm like, what do you have? I mean, it's such a special, yeah, right. It's such a special, beautiful place. So I loved hearing that and how that, like, that can't change. And if young kids of cabaret are being taught that today, it scares me. So I do love teaching it because of that reason. Like that can't ever go away. So
that's wonderful.
I loved hearing that. Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your show that you're doing tomorrow night at 7:00 at Don't Tell Mama. You're celebrating women composers of musical theater. When, where, and how did this idea come about for you?
You know, well, my promotions manager, Ralph Lampkin, those of you that know him, died years ago. And well, the last show I was supposed to do was 2020, and it was an Elton John show. And when 2020 happened, that shut down, and I got a dog instead and named him Sir Elton. So,
what kind of dog do you have?
What's that?
What kind of dog do you have?
Oh, he's a mini maxi golden doodle. He actually was Connecticut Dog of the Year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anyway, but I was I long story, but I was talking to Michelle Browerman, who is one of the wonderful composers that Ralph hooked me up with, and I've done a lot of her music. And I was talking to her about I know, she's so wonderful.
Friends, yeah.
She's so, yeah. So she and I were talking about a year ago on Ralph's anniversary of his death. And I said, Michelle, you know, I think I want to do a songbook of your music. And she said, oh, that sounds so great. I said, she goes, what, you know, yeah, that would be awesome. I said, or maybe even just all women's music, right? All women composers. And then I had some vocal trouble, so I put it away for a minute. Maybe this is a year and a half ago, actually. And then I said, no, I'm now ready to do it. But then I decided I wanted to be musical theater because there's so many beautiful musical theater and cabaret composers. But I started with calling her back up and said, because I always do Michelle songs. And I said, all right, send me a couple. So I'm doing one of she and Amanda's that they both sent me, one of theirs, and I'm doing one of hers, of course. So, but that's where I started. But then I picked just my favorite women, because women need to be celebrated right now, especially more than ever. And they are holding the pillars of society. They always have, and strength, and for emotions and strength. And I just feel like it's time to honor them in a big way. And so I want to do my part. And I found that, you know, the stories, as I chose the music, a lot of times I think I was choosing them subconsciously. I'm a therapist too, but so I think somewhere in my therapeutic brain, I was making a lot of decisions based on it's like an autobiography that came together for me through the songs I was choosing. And so it ended up being just the right thing for me to do. And I'm really thrilled about it. I'm excited.
Well, congratulations on that. Let's talk about your team, your collaborative team, and you know, and how you come together for this.
So, I mean, I teach and direct a lot of cabaret. So I did put it together myself. Sometimes I don't, but this time I did. And I had to have my dear Matthew Martin Ward with me. You know, I've worked with Matt with through Stephen Cole, and Ralph has connected us, but he is so grounding, but also he offers such humor, and we can just put our heads together and make things happen that I can't do with a lot of other, accompanists. And a lot of people just do it for money. You're like, okay, well, here's how much it charges, come in, do your time. And that's not Matthew. Like, we don't make money, we don't make money as cabaret artists. So
we don't.
He's so reasonable because he loves it, and he loves working with the person. And for me, performing at this time in my life, I don't use my equity card at this point because the roles I'm right for will be when I'm in my 50s and 60s, and I know that. So I'm not even using it. But like, honestly, I just feel like what was I gonna say? There's a reason. There's something. Lyrics and non-mouse patter are running through I agree with you totally, Christopher. It's storytelling. Why am I forgetting what I was saying? But nonetheless, it's about working with who you love. It's like, what I want to do now is just do projects with people I love, and Matthew is my guy. Until Matthew doesn't want it, or he hates me, or I drive him crazy or something. But so it's just me and Matt, and I've got my Marianne Lapinto doing my videography every single time, and it's just the classics. And Sydney, emailing me, okay, darling, this is when you can get into your, it's just, this community is wonderful, and I'm excited about the little team that we have. But it's been a lot of fun putting it together.
How did you first discover the community?
I moved to New York and to do my master's at NYU, and when I was 27, and my director in Pro Theater, I had just gotten my card in Cleveland. I'm from Ohio. And he said, you need to be doing cabaret because, again, you're not going to be ready for these roles that you're right for. I'm going to be like Angela Lansbury. I'm going to be playing all the kooky roles. I'm the crazy person. And when I'm older, but he said, you got to get into cabaret. And so I had a dear friend, a colleague in Cleveland that wrote shows, and he wrote me my first cabaret called If Only, and I did it at the Duplex. I sent in my material, did it at the Duplex, and then from there on just started to meet people. But Jeff Saver, who is a Broadway music director, knows everybody, and I knew him through doing he and Stephen Cole's music on an album I did. Jeff hooked me up with Stephen, who hooked me up with Ralph, and then I just started performing. I did Metropolitan Room, and when it was open, and urban stages, and then I just got to be a part of the community. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be a little self-indulgent for a moment. Because I have a new show that's coming up, and I'm going to share this with you. And the show is called Life Lessons from Legends. And it's the people that I've gotten the great pleasure of working with and performing with over the years. So I want to go around, and I want to ask each of one of you, and I'm going to start with you, Eileen. What is a life lesson that you learned from a legend? And let me explain legends to everyone. A legend could be someone that the world knows. It could be someone that we know that we consider a legend based on just who they are. Or it could be someone who's a legend in their own mind. But the point is a life lesson that you learned from a legend. And who would that be, Eileen? And what was the life lesson?
Oh my God, I don't know. I have to think about this for a second. Do you want to go on to Christopher? Can I think about it a little? I'm sorry, Christopher.
Yeah, I'll come back to you. Christopher.
Well, listen, I have admired so many performers in my lifetime. I have always had a strong place in my heart for Betty Davis because she put herself out there. She put herself forward. If anyone, I learned from authenticity and advocating for yourself. These are important life lessons because, earlier you were talking about I think, Camille, you were saying somebody was a people pleaser. You know, when you spend your whole life doing for others, and then you step back and you realize, when is it my turn? You know, we can do for everyone and for ourselves at the same time. But I've always admired her spunk and her self-advocacy. And so she's inspired me to be authentic and advocate for myself.
So, Christopher, if you are a huge Betty Davis fan, then you know what she did in her late 40s with her ad. Do you want to talk about that?
No, well, I don't. You're going to have to tell me. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Do you know, Eileen?
Well, I don't know exactly.
Variety.
Yeah.
It was an out-of-work actress looking for work. And
Right.
This was after 2 Academy Awards and an incredible career. She did what she needed to do to get the word out there, and she wasn't too proud to do that.
Yeah.
That I've always admired. So, Camille, same question.
You're going to think this is the craziest answer, but this is all that keeps resonating in my head. My mother, when she, before she went back to work as a nurse, there was a time when she was just reading all the time. She was just constantly reading anything she could get her hands on. And she really got into this author named Janet Daly, who started out kind of in the Harlequin romance thing, but then branched out into some really good storytelling and really great novels. And there was a scene, my mother always would say this to me, there's a cowboy in the beginning of the story, and he's the best, the best cowboy, the best rancher, the best everything. But he didn't talk about it because he always says, if you're the best there is, everybody already knows it. And if you're not the best there is, then why would you say anything? So he didn't feel the need to talk about himself. And, and like whenever I would, I might be like, I would be talking to my mother about like, well, I think I'm better than this, person or whatever. And my mom would just say, if you're the best there is, you really don't have to say anything. People already know it. And I think there is a fine line between advocating for yourself and then just like stepping back and being like, everyone will just see me, that they don't always. And sometimes you do have to advocate for yourself, but it's a lesson that I thought about then, I think about now all the time. And I think it's really just about humility, isn't it? Just like, like better listening, better observation of the world, better understanding of how you might be being perceived. So that's been a big life lesson that I think about all the time.
Wow. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Becca, same question.
Well, the person that I look to as a role model, I mean, she's passed, but that I look to as a role model for when I'm people pleasing or comparison, doing the comparison thing, Diane Keaton is because she was always herself, and that's what I strive to be. Is I want to be me, and I want to be uniquely me, and that's what I want people to see, and I don't want them comparing me to other people, and I want them to see the goofy, kooky me.
I love that. Liz, same question.
Yeah, so because of this show being my first back, because we thought I lost my voice completely after COVID and a lot of stuff, I have to say Julie Andrews, because for having be Julie Andrews and lose your voice. I think that lesson is that how gracefully she has reinvented her life and done so many beautiful things with her voice in different ways, in writing, in acting in different ways, and in inspiring others, and never shying away from being out there in front, even without the thing that made her the most famous. She's still full of fame and so giving to musical theater still, and writing musical theater. They just did one of her shows in Connecticut here last year. It was a children's musical. So I have to go with, look, if Julie Andrews can lose her voice and be all right.
Oh, she froze. Hopefully she'll come back. I hope she's going to come back.
Ways to reinvent.
Oh, there she is.
I said, if Julie Andrews can lose her voice and make it through and find ways to reinvent and have a beautiful, happy life, then by golly, Everybody can.
Great. Eileen, did you?
Well, when Camille was speaking about her mother, it made me think about my dad. And I mean, there have been so many performers that, I say I want to be them when I grow up, so many friends and so many, Julie Andrews and all kinds of people. But my father, and I talk about this in my act, he had a job that he was passionate about. And I think that inspired me to want to do something in my life that I loved, and that I couldn't be deterred from, that I didn't get a teaching certificate to fall back on. You know what I mean? That's what they always would talk to you about. Get a teaching certificate if you're majoring in drama. But I never did that. And so I was able to continue to work all the time. And I think it was, my dad was a documentary film cameraman in the early days of CBS News with Edward R. Murrow. And he was not an educated man, but he loved that work, and he went all over the world. And so I think that maybe was my inspiration.
I love that. Oh, well, I'm going to say this, and it's not just a lip service. You all inspire me.
Oh,
I'm going to give each one of you, what was that?
And you, us.
Well, thank you. I'm going to give each of you a chance to have your final word today. It could be about anything that we spoke about that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any final message you want to leave everyone with. I will pick one of you to end when I finish, and then you will pick the next person and so on. And I've got a very nice little Eileen Barnett surprise at the end of the program for all of you.
oh my goodness.
You're going to enjoy this. I did. For those of you who are watching the show, there are 3 things that you can do for all of us. Hit the like button if you did like the show. Hit the share button if you enjoyed the show. And especially leave a comment on YouTube. What that does is that raises the elevation of this video. It's all based on algorithms. And those 3 little things can help us out a lot. Think of this as a poo-poo platter. Go out and see all of these artists. They all have something incredible to share. I love their stories. I love what they have to tell, whatever. I always end my shows with the same message, and that is to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. I want you all, and all of you, to do the same thing. Go to your iPhones, pick up your phone, go to your Facebook page, and the second name that pops up, reach out with a phone call. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, a phone call. And just say, I'm checking in to see how you are today. Make it about them. And by doing so, you're going to make their day a little bit better, and it'll make your day better too. I have a dear friend, Sean Moniker, and he says, we're all in the same storm, but we're in different sized boats. And I always say, I don't care what size boat you're on, as long as you have a skipper by your side. I'm going to leave the screen. Christopher, I'm turning it over to you. And when you finish, you'll pick the next person. Have a great show this week. Thank you.
Well, you mentioned about us being positive. I always like to say, if someone steps on my foot, I just say, I have another one. It's okay. I will always choose the positive. And I just want to say that no matter what's happening in the world today, there's no good, there's no bad, there just is. So bring your best. And I bring my best, and I bring music, and I bring kindness and gentleness. And this is the way, for me, the world works. Camille, what do you think?
Oh, thank you. What I was thinking is whenever I watch a Richard Skipper Celebrates, or I have the honor of being a part of one, I am always so grateful to see people that I know, like Becca, or meet new people that I don't know. Like, honestly, the rest of you. Nice to meet you. and know about your shows and know what you're up to. It's and it occurs to me that, for every one of us, especially maybe we who may be over 40, there are so many others out there with something to say that aren't saying it. And so I guess what I would like to say is just like to send out some encouragement to whoever might be watching this, to be like, if you have something that you want to say, like, there's just really no better time to do it. And there's no better art form than cabaret in which to do it. And there's certainly no better community to accept you. So I would just leave the world or whoever's watching with that.
Great.
Liz.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you. I have to say, because I haven't, I didn't do it, is that the first person in New York that reached out to me, and I don't even know how he found me when I first moved there and was getting ready to do my first show, was Richard Skipper. And he said, I saw you're doing a show. I'd like to do a story on you. And it was when he had Friends of Richard Skipper, and he did a story on me and a preview, and I was so delighted. I don't know if someone I knew I don't know how that happened, but to me, that was the kindest thing, and I will never forget it. And I really want to thank you, Richard, for that. And also leave with that message of hope, and that message of hope as a reminder through the show that I'm doing about women. And again, that thing that women do so well, that we instill hope, and that we all, in the world that we live in right now, can enjoy all of our beautiful shows and all of our beautiful voices and what we have to offer, and give that hope through that modality of the amazing art form that is cabaret. So it was so good to meet you all, and happy birthday, and to you actual people, and to the artists, and it's so good to meet you. Mwah.
So, you want to go, Becca?
Sure. So I want to give a shout out to my team, because I didn't get to mention them. John Weber is my musical director, and Jeff Harner is my director. I'm definitely not an island when I'm creating my shows. And just to bounce off of what Chris was saying about healing in this world, I'm going to quote my song that I wrote called Let Go and Love, and say, let go and love. It's time to open our hearts. Come as you are, tear down the walls, and let us begin again. That's what we need to do. We need to connect and heal and come together and not feel isolated, and be together with each other. And that's the most important thing we need to do. And happy birthday to you, Eileen, as well.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so it's my turn. Oh my God. All this stuff about being there for other people, and having hope in your heart, and instilling hope in others. But also remember that if I've been through some challenges this last year and a half, and I think, to remind us all that life goes on, and that as life is going on, that you choose to surround yourself with wonderful people and wonderful friends and things that you love to do, and to be kind to yourself and to love yourself. And I think that's all I have to say. Happy birthday to the birthday people. 1 minute, she was this lovely woman coming back from Maui with a fresh tan. Then the ramp collapsed, and she was all blood and bone.
I am so sorry that you had to see that. Your witness.
Colette, first I want to say how sorry I am too. And really wish I didn't have to probe, but that's the dang job.
I know.
So how's your vision? Mine took a nosedive after I got my AARP card.
Well, astigmatism comes for us all, but I wear contacts. I see well.
Doesn't that recycled cabin air dry out your contacts?
Sometimes.
When specifically?
I'm not sure.
My research says 94% of passengers who wear contacts report irritated eyes after 3 hours. That sound about right?
I mean, sure about that.
And how long was that flight you just taken?
6 hours.
Sit on the tarmac for a while when you landed?
Another 2 hours.
Lord have mercy, those airlines are squeezing the last bit of fun out of our vacations.
Objection.
Withdrawn. When my contacts are dry, my eyes get a little blurry. Did you have blurry eyes?
No more than usual.
So you usually do have blurry eyes?
No.
Sometimes?
Yes,
And
but
did you make sure that that ramp was secure before you allowed Ms. Pope to deplane?
I would never forget to do a cross-check.
And what does that entail
A visual inspection.
with those blurry eyes?
Objection.
Sustained. Please disregard Ms. Matlock's last comment.
Apologies. Sometimes I get a bit feisty. No further questions.
Quick, redirect, Your Honor. Was there anything wrong with your vision that night, Colette?
No. And I will never forget looking at that passenger's body on the tarmac. Clear as day.
How far could you see?
All the way to the terminal.
It's been established that the defendant was standing 20 feet from the ramp at the time of the accident. Could you see his reaction to the fall?
Objection. Miss Barrett is trying to introduce improper character evidence.
The defense called the witness's vision into question. If she was able to observe the facial expression of someone standing at a distance, that should resolve any doubt.
Door's been opened. I'll allow it.
Do you remember how the defendant looked that night?
I do. I was screaming at him to call 911. Maybe he couldn't hear me over that engine. But he just stood there, dazed.
Dazed meaning high?
Objection.
Withdrawn. Apologies. Sometimes I get a little bit feisty.